Welcome to Star Citizen and the Ship Guide. Today we are looking at the Aegis Vanguard series, and there are 4 different versions. For this guide, the focus is on the Hoplite as a dropship variant and the Harbinger as a bomber. As always, we start with the exterior, then move on to the interior, and then test the fighting skills of the Vanguard series. Here we see the Hoplite version, which fulfills its function as a dropship for up to 6 passengers. All variants differ from the outside only marginally in that they have a different color. A striking feature of all variants is the unique armament in the nose. 4 level 2 cannons, which are fixed and only installed in the Vanguard series, are completed by a level 5 hardpoint. But let's take a closer look at the Vanguard, and especially in the light. When retracting the landing gear, the wings on the side open and the design of the Vanguard becomes visible. The optics strongly remind me of a Lockheed P-38 Lightning with its double tail girders. All variants have the same dimensions, with a length of 38 meters, a beam of 26.5 meters, and height 9.5 meters. The Vanguard series is basically a heavy fighter with the Warden and has different advantages with the specialized variants. The Hoplite comes as a dropship with space for 6 passengers, but without interior fittings such as a bed or other comfort functions. And the Sentinel comes as a dedicated EMP or E-warfare fighter. The variant that I can currently recommend most is the Harbinger, which we also see here. This is classified as a bomber and comes with level 5 torpedoes. The components of the series are medium-sized, and the Vanguard series not only divides but can also take a lot. There are heavy fighters who draw more pure firepower from the cannons, but they don't have as much defensive capacity for this. So the entire Vanguard series is a real consideration, especially for solo pilots. For any PvE content, the Vanguard is recommended in every variant, but here again the restriction that the Hoplite has no bed to log in or out. Therefore, we go into the interior of the Vanguard. We can only get into the ship via a rear retractable hatch, which is secured at the end with a lock. This rear area does not offer space for a small bike or other vehicle, but we can, for example, park boxes or deposit a landing party. But first, a look into the interior of the Hoplite as a dropship. We see the jump seats with matching weapon racks for 6 people. And as I said, the Hoplite is the only one of the 4 versions that has no bed or other amenities. In addition to the pilot and the 6 passengers, there is also a manned turret, which is equipped with 2 level 2 hardpoints. And here's a warning for the Harbinger version: should you change the standard rocket equipment of the tower, these will be irretrievably lost. With a shooter, the combat strength increases somewhat, but the manned turret is not as powerful as, for example, a Hurricane. After another lock, we come to the pilot area. Here we also have access to the most of the components and do not have to go for a walk into space. In the future it will be possible to carry out repairs yourself, and here it is an advantage not to have to leave the ship. The entire pilot area does not differ between the 4 different Vanguard versions. But now we go into the interior of the Harbinger, which I can definitely recommend for the PvE content at the moment. The Harbinger is designed for a crew of 2 people, and besides beds, sanitary facilities and amenities, it also has a special feature. And don't let this box bother you either, version 3.11 has already been patched. And of course there is also storage space and persistent weapon racks. So you can store weapons here that won't just disappear again. But let's go to the specialty of the Vanguard Harbinger, the torpedo station. The level 5 torpedoes we see here, which have a good payload and are a big plus for the Harbingers compared to the other versions. And of course, the torpedoes comes from Aegis with love. And the Harbinger also has a manned turret with 2 level 2 hardpoints. But let's take a seat in the pilot's seat. After starting, there is another point that I like very much. That just sounds like a little thunderstorm which the Vanguard can unleash. The cockpit has the typical 4 Aegis MFDs and looks modern. There are no other surprises or anomalies here, and the view outside in the cockpit is pleasant. But let's test the combat capabilities of the Vanguard series and the Harbinger in detail. Everything we see here is just as possible with any other Vanguard version. Only the level 5 torpedoes are of course missing for the other Vanguards. In space combat, the Vanguard is agile and easy to maneuver, and we have no difficulties in following even small targets. Of course, we have the greatest strengths of this heavy fighter when fighting medium or large targets. This is where the Vanguard can demonstrate its strengths most clearly. Lighter targets or opponents like a Cutlass usually don't have much to oppose and are destroyed very quickly. In this way we can quickly eliminate many targets one after the other without getting into trouble. And rocket fire is not a direct threat to the Vanguard with their two medium-sized shields. In decoupled mode, the Vanguard is fast and agile enough to avoid enemy fire. The thrust is impressive, which is also reflected in this Vanguard typical soundscape. The big bonus of the Harbinger in particular is of course their rocket and torpedo payload. Here you have enough firepower to be dangerous for ships like a Hammerhead or 890 Jump. We are not on the road with a standard loadout, but have completely switched to laser repeaters. Where you can buy these or what the loadout looks like in detail, I'll show you later. I especially recommend an energy weapon setup in the PvE, because you don't have to reload and save time if you want to work through several combat missions one after the other. However, the Vanguard series has not only advantages, but also one or the other disadvantage. On the one hand, none of the variants has a cargo hold. You have to decide for yourself whether this is a direct disadvantage for a heavy fighter. For my part, I use a freighter for freight anyway. On the other hand, there are heavy fighters that deal more damage than the Vanguard or are more agile. However, for me the whole package is right for the Vanguard series. For the Harbinger in particular, however, the lack of cannon damage is largely offset by the additional missiles and torpedoes. So you get a heavy fighter with the Harbinger that has enough space for multi-crew gameplay and doesn't have to fear any PvE mission. It is also possible to log in or log out, and for later game mechanics the Harbinger offers all the amenities that could be necessary. And below us, the Vanguard just looks damn good. The optics, the sound and the feeling that this ship gives is unique. And should you prefer a different type of weapon, you have the option of using most of the different types of ammunition and types of damage. All versions of the armament have been available for purchase here since 3.10. The hull of the Vanguard also takes a few hits, should you even come under strong fire or face a large number of opponents. I definitely had fun with the Vanguard for this test, and it's definitely one of the ships I use regularly. However, I still have a suggestion for improvement. A Warthog Thunderbolt armament would be perfectly fit in here. But let's go to the next point of the test, the flight characteristics in the atmosphere. The Vanguard is a heavy fighter, and you can tell that compared to light fighters or even racing ships. However, it is surprisingly agile and maneuverable here, and the enormous thrust helps to fly safely in the atmosphere. So we have nothing negative to report in this category either. And even if it's just a small thing, the changing thrust nozzles look quite cool. We come to the promised loadout. By the way, you can find all loadouts of the ship tests via the Discord channel, which you can find in the description. With our laser repeater setup, we get almost 2100 DPS, which is absolutely sufficient for every PvE content. And here you can see the massive rocket and torpedo payload of almost 74,000 DPS. This is definitely a point to consider when choosing a ship. You can buy every version of the Vanguard series currently in the game, and of course there are all variants also on the grey market, like here at Starhunger. Buying on the grey market involves risks, and it is always at your own risk. I recommend a detailed video on the grey market on this channel. With an in-game purchase you have to pay between 2 and 3 million Alpha USC at New Deal in Lorville Hurston, depending on the variant of the Vanguard. And on the grey market you pay at least 250 bucks. There are also battle upgrade kits, which I would not recommend to buy. These are absolutely overpriced and the benefits are also limited. I hope you enjoyed the video and you leave me a like and a subscribe here. The Vanguard series is one of the recommendable ships in my opinion, because it has everything you need for the PvE area. Here you have no problems with combat missions and the look of the ship makes a lot. For me it is an absolute daily driver, and the Sentinel variant also had its charm. I hope the video was able to help you and was understandable. And I would like to point out an ongoing giveaway for a brand new Origin Eye from Origin Jumpworks. Details can be found in the last giveaway video. I hope to see you again and say as always, see you in the verse.